Welcome to the Depth Dive. We're here to explore some fascinating material and really pull out those surprising facts and maybe deeper insights. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We've got a collection of these short, kind of cryptic stories. They're not just for scares, though some are definitely chilling. They're more like thought experiments, really, designed to challenge how you perceive things, maybe uncover some hidden psychological stuff. Our source is this great collection, cryptic horror-themed stories with hidden meanings. That's the description. Some seem simple at first glance, but others, well, they've got layers. Our mission today is to peel back those layers. We're looking for those aha moments, the ones that tell us something about human nature or our own assumptions, maybe even the unsettling things we don't usually notice.
So these stories really force you to practice looking beyond the surface. They're an invitation to question what's right there in front of you, to dig into the implications and figure out why certain small details are so important. It's like a mental workout, really, for critical thinking, training your brain to spot what's not obvious. And that's a valuable skill, as we'll see.
Okay, let's unpack this. We'll jump straight into the first story. And remember, the goal isn't just like solving a puzzle. It's about understanding the thinking behind it. All right, picture this. You're walking along, maybe down the street, and suddenly you hear this loud scream. You run over, and there's a woman just sitting on the ground, looks stunned, definitely in shock, and right in front of her is this huge iron block, massive thing, maybe 2 meters square, thick, clearly fell from some construction overhead. A worker nearby says, "Oh, she just fell down from the shock." Okay. Later on, you see the same woman, still looks shaken up. You ask her about it, and she says, "Yes, I was quite shocked." And then she adds, "Especially when I heard the scream." Now that last part. When I heard the scream. When you really focus on that phrasing, what makes it so unsettling? What's the hidden meaning there?
Yeah, that's a great example of misdirection, isn't it? The absolute key is that she says she heard a scream. She doesn't say she screamed. Our first thought, our gut reaction based on the scene, is that she must have screamed in terror. But her words contradict that. So if she didn't scream, then who did? Or what? It forces you to pause. Did the block make some kind of horrible noise when it hit? Something she interpreted as a scream. Or maybe, was there someone else we didn't see? Another worker, perhaps, or something else entirely. Did someone scream before the impact, alerting her?
So it shifts the focus. It's not about her being hurt, but about this strange, unidentified sound.
Exactly. And this isn't just a clever story twist. It's a really good illustration of confirmation bias. Our brains want to make sense of things quickly, build a narrative. We hear shock, we hear scream, we assume the person in shock did the screaming. But this forces us to reevaluate, to look for the less obvious explanation, which is vital for critical thinking in everyday life too. We tend to fill in the gaps with what we expect, not always with what's actually there.
That's a brilliant point, how easily our own minds can lead us down the wrong path. Okay, speaking of mental traps, this next one goes to a darker place. It's about intentions and how they can backfire spectacularly. Let's dip into the occult. So someone finds this old book, Black Magic. It tells you how to curse an enemy, but there's a stark warning right at the start. It says something like, follow these steps exactly, and the curse hits your target. But make even one tiny mistake, and the curse falls on you. Be careful. Do you still want to do this? Okay, the person is filled with hate, determined to get it right. Step 1, close your eyes, picture your enemy's face. Okay, easy enough. Step 2, imagine the curse. Really vividly picture what you want to happen to them, all the awful details. The person does this, pouring all their malice into it. Then step 3, open your eyes. So, what's the trick? Why that specific warning about mistakes? And what happens right at the end?
This one is it's psychologically brutal, really. The curse lands squarely on the person casting it. Always. Think about it. You close your eyes, you meticulously visualize your enemy, you conjure up the most horrific curse imaginable, focusing all that negative energy. Then the final instruction, open your eyes. What do you see when you open your eyes? You see the world around you. You are the subject experiencing that moment. You've just perfectly visualized the curse happening to the person whose perspective you inhabit right then, yourself.
Wow. So the mistake isn't messing up a step. It's following the instructions perfectly.
Exactly. It's a trap built into the process itself. The very act of conjuring that detailed malice is the mechanism of self-destruction. It's more than just a story trick. It's a pretty profound statement on hatred, isn't it? How focusing intensely on harming someone else can ultimately poison you. Your own mind, your own imagination becomes the weapon turned against yourself. The book warns about a mistake, but the real mistake was starting down that path at all.
That's heavy. The power of our own minds, indeed. Which kind of leads us into this next story, a really grim tale about survival and the psychological price you pay. Okay, a college mountain climbing club. 8 students, they decide to tackle this massive peak in winter. Bad idea. The weather turns, traps them near the summit. They're stranded for 2 weeks. A rescue team finally gets there. They find 7 survivors. Only 7. 6 of them recover physically, more or less. But the 7th, he's completely broken psychologically. He ends up institutionalized. Just keeps repeating the number 8 over and over, banging his head on the padded walls. 8, 8, 8, 8. And the other 6 survivors, they all tell the exact same story. The 8th climber, the missing one, he just wandered off. So, thinking about extreme situations, survival, group dynamics, what does the 7th guy's behavior and the other story, what does it really suggest happened up there?
Well, this is where things get incredibly dark, but also psychologically very telling. Extreme conditions push people to extremes. Stranded for 2 weeks, winter, high altitude, resources gone. 8 people become 7 survivors. The 7th survivor's fixation, his obsession with the number 8, it points very strongly towards the grim likelihood of cannibalism. The 8th climber didn't just wander off. He likely became the means for the other 7 to survive.
Yeah. So he wasn't just lost. He was used.
It seems tragically likely. And the 7th survivor's intense trauma. It screams that he witnessed it, maybe even participated. His mind just shattered under the weight of it. Can't escape the number 8, the number of the person sacrificed. And the unified story from the others. Wandered off. That sounds like a desperate, agreed-upon cover story. Way to bury an unbearable truth. It shows how groups can conspire, not just to survive physically, but to survive the psychological aftermath, the guilt. They rewrite the narrative.
That's deeply disturbing. The lengths people go to, and the scars left behind. Okay, let's shift gears slightly, moving from maybe group desperation to a single puzzling death. This next one is a bit of a classic mystery setup. Rich old man Samuel Richardson, found dead in his study, gunshot to the head. In his right hand, there's a pistol. In his left, a tape recorder. Police arrive. They check the gun for prints only his. Okay, looks like suicide so far. Then they play the tape. They hear his voice. My name is Samuel Richardson. I'm lonely and unhappy, so I've decided to leave this cruel world. I'm sorry. May God have mercy on my soul. Then silence for a few seconds. Bang, gunshot. But as soon as the lead detective hears that message, he knows. Instantly. This wasn't suicide, it was murder. What gave it away? What tiny detail in that recording screamed staged?
Right, this one hinges entirely on understanding the mindset, the psychology of someone in their absolute final seconds, and how language gives things away. The crucial detail, the very first words on the tape. My name is Samuel Richardson. Think about it. If you're truly alone, recording your final message before ending your life, why would you introduce yourself? To whom? You know who you are. The tape recorder doesn't need to know. That kind of formal introduction, it implies an audience.
It's like he's identifying himself for someone else listening later.
Exactly. It's a social convention completely out of place in that supposed context. It suggests someone else was there, maybe forcing him to read a script or recording it for him to stage the suicide. The introduction is for the benefit of the listeners, not the speaker. It makes the whole thing feel like a performance, not a genuine act of despair. It just shows how these tiny, seemingly insignificant details, these linguistic tells, can completely unravel a carefully constructed lie.
Brilliant. So subtle, but so revealing. Okay, next let's talk about twins. Identical twins, Mandy and Melissa. This one is about psychological leverage. They've been kidnapped, they're tied to chairs, blindfolded. The kidnapper leans in and whispers to Mandy, "If you try to escape, I will kill Melissa." Then he goes over to Melissa and whispers the exact same threat. "If you try to escape, I will kill Mandy." So what makes this particular threat so effective, so sinister, especially because they're identical twins?
This is pure psychological manipulation,
Yeah.
leveraging their bond and their identical nature against them. By delivering the same threat individually, the kidnapper creates this perfect trap of mutual fear and suspicion. Neither twin knows for sure if the other also received the threat. Mandy can't be certain Melissa isn't under the same constraint, and vice versa. So if Mandy tries to escape, is she condemning Melissa? If Melissa stays put, is it because she's scared for Mandy or scared for herself? It forces them to police each other. Each twin becomes the other's jailer, paralyzed by the fear of being responsible for her sister's death. Escape becomes almost unthinkable. It's diabolical, really.
Making them complicit in their own captivity through fear for the other. Wow. Okay, let's shift tone slightly for this next one. It's still got a twist, but it's more poignant, maybe sad. It involves a hospital and a Game Boy. There's a boy, Ryota, broken legs, stuck in the hospital, bored out of his mind. He makes friends with a girl in the next bed, Sayaka. She looks pale, seems quite sick. Ryota lends her his Game Boy. They play this game, Fighting Fantasy, together, become friends. When Ryota is discharged, he promises he'll come back to visit. He leaves the Game Boy with Sayaka so she can keep playing. About a week later, he comes back to the hospital to visit her. But her bed is empty. He asks the nurse, and she tearfully says, "Oh, honey, Sayaka's gone. She's gone to another place." She hands him back his Game Boy. Later, Ryota turns on the Game Boy. He looks at the saved game file for Fighting Fantasy, and he sees the player character names have been changed. What's the subtle, really sad detail implied by those changed player names?
Oh, this one is heartbreaking. It's all about empathy, isn't it? And connection. The changed player names. What likely happened is Sayaka changed her character's name to Ryota and changed Ryota's original character name to Sayaka. It's a child's way of stepping into someone else's shoes, of keeping that connection alive. Even in play, she is playing as him, maybe imagining his strength, while he, in the game, was her. It's this small, incredibly poignant gesture of their bond, their shared experience in that hospital room, a little secret language between them. And he only discovers it after she's gone. It's just, yeah, it's incredibly touching and sad. A reminder of their innocent connection found too late.
That really is quite moving. Such a small detail carrying so much weight.
Yeah.
Okay, from poignant sadness back to something darker. This next story explores guilt again, but in a very visceral way. It involves a well. The narrator admits to, well, a lot. It says when he was 6, he killed his little sister, threw her body down a well. The next day, the body was gone. At 12, kills his best friend. Down the well. Next day, gone. At 18, kills his pregnant girlfriend.
Yeah.
Down the well. Body disappears. At 24, kills his boss. Same thing, down the well. Body gone the next day. But then at age 30, his mother is sick, bedridden. He says he didn't want to take care of her, so he kills her too. Throws her body down the same well, but this time, the next day, her body is still there. He checks every day after that. Her body never disappears. It just stays in the well. So the question is why? Why did his mother's body stay when all the others vanished? What's the psychological implication here?
This is a really powerful metaphor, I think. If we read the well not as a literal place, but as representing the killer's conscience, or maybe his capacity to repress guilt, to make things disappear from his mind, for the victims he felt pure hatred towards, or maybe just detachment from the sister, the friend, the girlfriend, the boss. His mind could somehow compartmentalize, rationalize, maybe even forget. He can make them vanish from his internal landscape. His conscience, twisted as it was, could dispose of them.
So the well isn't real, it's in his head.
That's how I read it, yes.
Yeah.
A mental dumping ground. But his mother, that's different. Even if he said he didn't want to care for her, even if he resented her, the maternal bond, the deep-seated connection, maybe a profound, inescapable guilt associated with that specific act. His mind couldn't just erase it. He couldn't make her disappear. He's trapped with the consequence of that specific murder in a way he wasn't with the others. Her presence in the well becomes this permanent fixture in his psyche. It speaks to how certain violations, especially familial ones, can embed themselves so deeply that even a sociopathic mind can't fully suppress them.
Wow, that makes the story even more disturbing. The inescapable nature of certain guilts. Okay, we have one more. A short one, maybe a bit simpler, but still plays on that sense of unease. A young woman lives alone. It's nighttime. She's getting ready for bed. She goes into the bathroom, starts washing her face with soap, eyes closed, lathering up. While her eyes are closed, she hears footsteps in the bathroom with her. She quickly rinses the soap off, grabs a towel, dries her face, whips around. The bathroom is empty, nobody there. So, what's the unsettling implication? Or maybe, is there a simpler, riddle-like answer?
Well, this one can go two ways, can it? In a purely logical riddle sense, the simple answer is she heard her own footsteps. After she finished rinsing and drying, maybe she took a step or turned around, and those were the footsteps she registered just as she was fully alert again.
Ah, okay. The timing makes her misinterpret her own sound.
That's exactly. But in a cryptic horror context, the implication is much more chilling. It suggests she wasn't alone, that someone was there, but vanished the moment she could see. It plays on that primal fear of an unseen presence right there with you in a vulnerable moment in a place you thought was safe. Even if the room looks empty, the sound lingers, planting that seed of doubt and fear. Was it just her imagination, or?
Right, that uncertainty is the creepy part. Okay, last one. This involves a tool shed, a father, a son, and a very bad idea involving science. A man's in his tool shed. His young son runs in, crying. He's got a small metal ball bearing stuck in his ear. The dad fancies himself a bit of science whiz, has all sorts of gadgets in the shed. He tells his son, "Don't worry, I can fix this." He spots a super strong electromagnet he built. He gets an idea. He'll use the magnet to pull the metal ball bearing right out. He says his son put his ear right up against the surface of the electromagnet. He tells him to hold still. He flips the power switch. There's a loud clang sound, and the son just collapses. Instantly dead. What happened? How did the electromagnet kill him? It wasn't supposed to touch him directly.
This is grim, but it's based on real physics and biology. The key phrase is super strong electromagnet. We all know magnets attract certain metals. But what we sometimes forget is that human blood contains iron. It's in the hemoglobin and our red blood cells. A magnet powerful enough to violently yank a ball bearing out of an ear canal would exert an incredibly strong pull not just on the bearing, but on the iron in the blood, in all the tiny capillaries and vessels in that area of the head.
Oh, no. So it's not just pulling the bearing. It's pulling his blood.
Precisely. Imagine the force required. It wouldn't be a gentle tug. It would instantly rupture blood vessels, cause massive internal hemorrhaging, probably catastrophic damage within the brain or inner ear structure due to the sudden localized magnetic force. The clang might have even been the ball bearing hitting the inside of his skull with extreme force as it was pulled. It's a horrifying, instantaneous internal trauma. It's a chilling reminder that, science and tools have immense power, and applying them without fully understanding all the potential effects, even with good intentions, can be disastrous.
That's a truly awful image, a terrible unintended consequence. So what does this all mean? We've gone through quite a few stories here. They're more than just quick little thrillers, aren't they? They really are exercises in how we perceive things, how we interpret what we see and hear. They make you realize that often the most important part of a story, or even a real-life situation, isn't what's spelled out. It's what's implied, what's hidden, what requires you to stop and think, wait a minute.
Exactly. They sharpen that skill of looking beyond the obvious, questioning your first take, considering those hidden layers. Real critical thinking often involves digging into what isn't being said, finding the gaps, connecting the dots that aren't immediately adjacent. These stories are like little training grounds for that.
Maybe the most chilling stories aren't really the ones with ghosts or monsters hiding in the shadows. Maybe they're the ones that show us the uncomfortable truths or the potential for darkness already lurking within ourselves, or hidden in plain sight around us, just waiting for us to really see them. Thank you for diving deep with us today on The Deep Dive. We hope you found these stories and their hidden meanings as thought-provoking as we did. If you enjoyed this kind of exploration into the cryptic and the unsettling, please do like this episode, share it with someone who might appreciate it, and subscribe to Horror Docx for more deep dives. We'll see you next time.